Thank God above. God above. Like to thank God above. God above. To thank God above. God above. Like to thank God above. God above. Gangsters, cops, and politicians, get ready to rock on a mission. Each one of us shares our own vision. When I was on the yard, I went real hard. But I patrolled the streets, all the G's I meet. When I was on the yard, I went real hard. But I patrolled the streets, all the G's I meet. But got to stay book. I like to thank God above. I like to thank God above. God above. I like to thank God above. God above. I like to thank God above. God above.
Hello, this is your host, Gabe Morales. We recently covered Mara Salvatrucha and 18th Street gangs, both which have their roots on the west side of Los Angeles. A couple of minor things I'd like to add on these two previous videos is that MS originally formed up in Wilshire Division in some apartments west of Normandy Avenue that was on the borderline of Rampart and Wilshire. You have to understand that LAPD's Rampart and Wilshire Division lines have changed over the years. One of the main factors in that was the Rampart scandal. I may do an episode on that at a different time. That is a whole different ball game. The first documented homicide committed by MS was said to have been a botched street robbery off Olympic Boulevard. As far as 18th Street, it is true what some people say of Vesey Segato pushing the new Southside government at the time and implementing taxation of local gangs, as I mentioned in the MA videos. It is also true that he was very close to Puppet Martinez, as shown in the pictures. But when the MA placed the green light on 18th Street, Puppet started withdrawing his support, and he and Night Owl Castro basically threw Vesey under the bus, so he's deemed no good. I just wanted to clear that up in case anybody had some questions. I thought I'd cover other gangs in the area just for parent and public awareness, as well as a brief training tool for law enforcement. For you active and former gang members from the west side of LA, I realize this video might sound very elementary to you. So feel free to comment anything important you felt was left out in the comment section. But be advised, you must be courteous and no profanity, or your comments will be deleted and you will be blocked. Don't feel bad. I have the same policy for law enforcement that act unprofessional or the public. We will be covering other street gangs, prison gangs, drug cartels, as well as bringing you future guests and discussion panels on important issues and interesting subjects concerning crime, the police and corrections field, and political and social change arena. If you like this channel, please don't forget to hit those like and subscribe buttons. In this segment, we'll start out by covering gangs active in beach cities located just west of Los Angeles and work our way closer to the downtown area west of I-5, south of the 101 freeway, and north of I-10. I'll start off with Santa Monica, which is a coastal city in western LA County. It is located by Santa Monica Bay and is not part of the city, but it is bordered on 5 sides by different neighborhoods of the city of Los Angeles. It is probably best known for the Santa Monica Pier, where both kids and adults can be entertained. The city experienced a boom since the late 1980s through revitalization of its downtown core and has some very nice areas and neighborhoods, but gangs still find a way to exist in the nooks and crannies. Crime is typically low in Santa Monica compared to other parts of California, but gang activity has been prevalent for decades in the Pico neighborhood, particularly in the portion running 14th Street to just east of Cloverfield. Some of the Santa Monica 13 cliques have been 17th Street, Pee-wee Locos, Tiny Locos, Little Locos, Midgets, and Crickets, as well as 11th Street Chavos. Westside Hotel had an early 1940s car club called the Falcons. Then, in the 1960s, some of the members of the Falcons became a street gang. They named it after the Sawtelle area from which it is located. Westside's hotel has practically disappeared today, but it does have representation from La M.A. via Stephen Bosco Medina. Enemies of this hotel have been Santa Monica and 18th Street. Venice is a neighborhood on the west side region of Los Angeles County. It is probably best known for Venice Beach and its oceanfront businesses and recreation section, which have been shown in many movies and on TV shows. Venice was an independent city until 1926 when it merged with the city of Los Angeles. Venice 13 started in the Oakwood area. This area was called Ghost Town because it was very neglected by the city, not even having streetlights. So it was like a ghost town at night. By 1993, Venice 13 waged war with the Venice Shoreline Crips over an alleged bad drug deal. From fall of 1993 to June of 1994, in only a 9-month period, there were at least 17 people killed and 55 wounded. It was a major upsurge in violence and talked about all over the region. Many of these individuals who were hurt or killed were not even gang affiliated. They were innocent civilians who were mistaken for gang members or shot just because of the color of their skin. But in the summer of 1994, there was a truce call between the two gangs. My sources say Venice 13 and the Shorelines appeared to still have good relations as they were depicted together in Cinco de Mayo pictures. Let's hope that peace holds for the good of the people in the greater Venice area. Culver City is also located in western LA County, just south of I-10 and just east of the Interstate 405. Harry Culver, a real estate developer, founded Culver City, and since the 1920s, Culver City has been known for being the headquarters of many motion picture companies. Today, about 1/4 of the city is Latino. Of course, most are not involved in criminal activity. My wife and mother-in-law often went to Culver City to do business with the seamstress, who did business out of her home there, and they knew many good and friendly people there. Westside Culver City boys date back to the late 1960s and were often referred to as being bad city boys and were not friendly. A local housing project became the gang's main hangout area by the late 1970s. During the 1980s and 1990s, the gang took over other gang territories in the Vespucci area of Culver City. Most of their neighborhood runs from Bay City Avenue to North Vespucci and falls into the jurisdiction of Los Angeles. Culver City boys are an example of a Sureño 13 gang wearing red, a color often associated with rival Norteño gangs. They may wear Cincinnati Reds gear to represent, due to the large C on the cap, which is, as far as I know, the main reason why they wear red today. You have to remember, Culver City boys started before the Sureño umbrella started in the late 1970s, when many Sur 13 gangs started wearing blue. In 1997, not long after Venice 13 made a truce with Shoreline Crips, the Culver City boys declared war on them to push blacks out of the area. In the past, Culver City boys have fought with Venice 13, Santa Monica 13, and Sawtell. The Big Top Locos started out as a small gang on the west side of Los Angeles, then grew as recruitment was pushed in the early 1990s, as many new gangs popped up on the west side. A lot of the Big Top Locos were shot and killed or dropped out, but there are still a few left representing the clica. As I mentioned in the Mexican Mafia video, I accompanied LAP to the crime scene of the MS Veterano, who was tracked from Seattle by an MS hit team, kidnapped in a van and executed in a vacant house in BTL turf. As I mentioned in the 18th Street video, Clanton has been around since at least the early 1940s period, were active during the Zoot Suit riots in the summer of 1942. This August 10th, 1942 news article includes the roundup of several individuals associated with Clanton as officials push hard what they coined as a cleanup of the Pachuco epidemic. The gang was involved in many fights against other gangs, as indicated in the press, when in 1942, Clanton gang member Frank Torres was shot by a member of the First Street gang at the Los Angeles Memorial Coliseum. The gang's original territory was centered approximately 1 mile downtown Los Angeles, and it took its name from Clanton Street, which is now called 14th Place. Much of the Clanton area was bulldozed in 1950 due to gang activity. Despite neighborhood protests, so many warehouses took the place of small homes in the area, and people had to relocate. The gang didn't care what the city did to try to get rid of them, and soon adopted a new name, C14. This action by the city actually spread them in the early 50s, a time period when Clanton members were involved in a bar fight that led to the death of Edmund Pacheco, a member of the Lomas gang. Clanton predated the Mexican Mafia and even had a founding member of La Nuestra Familia Mexicana in Bruce Güero Morgan. This may be why they only had a few guys involved in La M over the years. Now that's a good debate for all you veteranos. Clanton was still very active in the 1960s and 70s on the west side, also selling dope in and around downtown, and even sometimes operated on the east side since they had an alliance with Primera Flats from the Aliso Village public housing projects. In 1978, a shootout between Clanton and the rival 18th Street gang injured 4 people on the corner of 7th and Broadway. In recent years, Clanton has diminished. You may have noticed they are not even on the LA gang injunction map, but they can still sometimes be found in the Hollywood and North Hollywood area. They have also expanded into Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Like Mara Salvatrucha, Crazy Riders is another gang with a largely Central American membership. They were known for owning lowrider mini trucks when that fad was popular in the early 1980s. Some rode Japanese pocket rockets, also known as ninjas, a fast motorbike. They had a rep for being locals with sharp machetes, a weapon often associated with MS. In late 1985, in an alley between 6th Street and Virgil Avenue, some members of Crazy Riders 13 beat an MS member to death. In addition to fighting MS, they have beef with 18th Street. The Easy Riders are often confused with the Crazy Riders, but they are different gangs. One clique of Easy Riders claims Eastside and are broken down to sub-cliques of 17th Street, Downers, and Locals. Another Easy Riders clique claims Westside and Central LA, and they are located very close to the Crazy Riders. They have sub-cliques of 27th Street Malos, 28th Street Chicos, and Gatos, Little Gangsters. The Easy Riders were initially known for going around in the neighborhood riding beach cruisers. They often wore black and were very fond of LA Raiders gears and are allies of the Ghetto Boys. They have feuded in the past with Playboys, Drifters, 18th Street, and especially Harpy's Dead End Locals. The first Harpy's associated clique were called the Rascals, which was a 1970s car club. The fad during the early 1980s was rockabilly, stoners like MS or Mid-City Stoners, or disco. The Harpy's Wild Bunch and Dead End were originally into disco. The Harpy Street Gang started off like many other gangs did at the time as a football team, and their name comes from the Harpy's eagle. Their turf is located in the West Adams area between Figueroa and Normandy and Washington and Jefferson. The Harpies made major headlines when a member from the gang, Jose Luis Silent Quintana, killed 3 members of 18th Street on September 6, 1980. I had Silent in New Folsom around 1990. A few years earlier, I dealt with Harpies and Mexican Mafia member Danny Popeye Roman at the same facility. Operation Roman Empire hit the gang hard in late 2012 and impacted funds and operations of Popeye, as I mentioned in the Mexican Mafia episode part 2. Westside Barrio Diamond Street is a predominantly Hispanic gang located in the Westlake area just west of downtown. This gang formed near Figueroa and Diamond Street during the early 1900s. In the 1950s, the construction of the I-10 freeway changed the community where Diamond Street formed and displaced residents through a massive urban renewal project. Former career criminal, author, and actor Eddie Bunker, who died in 2005, wrote in his memoirs, Education of a Felon, that he became a member of the Diamond Street Gang in his teenage years in the late 1940s. Bunker associated with Joe Morgan in prison, as well as members of the Aryan Brotherhood. Archie Cricket Gallego was a member of Diamond Street and was stabbed and killed in San Quentin prison by Nuestra Familia for his association with the Mexican Mafia during the Shoe War. The Diamonds had a war with 18th Street in the late 1980s. The Diamonds still exist and have various cliques like Chicos, Pee-wees, Dukes, Winos, Tiny Vets, and Pearls. La Mirada locals originally came from the city of La Mirada and later moved into Sunset Boulevard in the Hollywood area of Los Angeles. La Mirada locals, also known as La Mirada Hustlers, date from at least the 1980s. In 2021, there was local media coverage about Los Feliz neighborhood residents who lived near a homeless camp, complaining that it was actually a street gang-run drug dealing hub. The encampment sat at the corner of Berendo Street and Hollywood Boulevard. Los Angeles Police Department later confirmed that La Mirada locals had been selling drugs from the camp. La Mirada's West Side enemies include MS, Crazy Riders, Temple Street, Clanton, White Fence, 18th Street, Rockwood, Diamond Street. Did I leave anybody out? Oh, yeah. The nearby mob crew from the east side, Eco Parque, Frogtown, and Tunerville in the northeast. Gee, do they get along with anybody? They also bump heads with Armenian Power, which is a gang made up of mostly Armenians, but who have claimed Sur 13. Mid-City Stoners had early cliques called Chapines, Stoners, and Little Criminals. The Mid-City Stoner originals were all either from Clanton 14, Playboys, or 18th Street Barrios. Mid-City Stoners popped up like many other stoner gangs in the late 1970s when heavy metal music was popular among some Latino youth, just like it was with MS when they first started. Mid-City Stoners were founded in the Wilshire area of Los Angeles and spread to other parts of the city, such as the East Side and down near South Central LA. Thus, today it has two main factions, the West Side and the East Side. Mid-City Boulevard locals were very active in the 1980s, and it has a clique today still around called 33rd. West Side and Mid-City Stoners have beef with nearby Rolling 20s Blood, with whom they share the same turf, as well as Black P-Stones, who usually align with the 20s. The Orphans are a gang that were very active near 8th and Union in the Pico Union District. They're made up of a band of about 3 dozen or so, largely Mexican immigrant kids. While they're small, they're still around today as the picture shows, and were listed among 10 other gangs on the gang injunction map I showed earlier. The Drifters are a predominantly Chicano street gang located in the border region between West and Central LA sections of Los Angeles on Pico Boulevard, just south of I-10, who fought with MS in the early days. The main clique of this neighborhood was the Pico Locals. The Drifters actually have 3 separate cliques in Los Angeles, with the other 2 cliques being South LA in the West Adams neighborhood and the other clique in the Pico Union District. ABC News did a documentary many years ago called Girls in the Hood, and reporter Cynthia McFadden did a fairly good job on it, but incorrectly stated that Jokey was from an East LA gang called the Drifters. The Drifters are a West Side and near South Side Adams District gang, not an East Side gang. Also, Tepes 13 is a South Side gang. Anyways, despite these minor errors in the documentary, it was pretty good. If you haven't had a chance yet, check out our expert panel video on female gangs under this channel that includes Jeannie Sykes, the reason ABC News gave for doing the news story in the first place, after checking out her groundbreaking book, 8-Ball Chicks. The Playboys 13 gang was originally started in the early 1960s in the Pico and Fedora area. The Playboys were originally a car club. Eastside Playboys are predominantly Chicano gang, started during the mid-1970s. They're also broken down in different cliques: 35th, 42nd Cyclones, 43rd, 46th Street Locals, 49th, 1st, 56 Locals, 64th Street Chicos, and so on. Past enemies of the Playboys have been West Side Drifters, Mara Salvatrucha, and 18th Street. I have dealt with many Playboys 13 members in the Seattle-Tacoma area, as well as Yakima and other parts of Washington State. One other thing, priests from Playboys sponsored the Borrendo Locals that became a part of MS. That is a connection that very few people know about. Westside Temple Street is a very old barrio, founded in the early 1920s. It is amongst the oldest street gangs in Los Angeles. They have kind of a unique history as they were racially diverse, especially during the 1970s and 1980s, when they had Black, Filipino, and white gang members. The Filipinos eventually started their own clique called Pinoy Locos and Santanas, which eventually broke off. While Temple is no longer as big as they once were, you'll see they are still part of the gang injunction. Dogtown, also sometimes referred to as Barrio Dogtown Ripa, is a very small but old barrio located in the community of the William Mead Housing Projects, located near downtown Los Angeles on North Main Street in a community known as the North Industrial Area. According to legend, it was named that because there was a large dog pound in the neighborhood and one could hear stray dogs barking there all the time. Some researchers have noted that Dogtown does not appear in any local newspapers until the pound was moved to Downey Street, now Spring Street, where it was moved in 1885. Dogtown is probably the oldest active gang neighborhood in all of LA County, going back to the late 1800s. It may even be older than Alpine Street, which was documented in the early 1900s. You may recall on a video I did on the Black Gorilla family, my junior high school friend in 1974 claimed Dogtown Crip and told me it was a very diverse area at that time, made up of poor people. I've always said if you put a map of poverty over a gang map, they very closely match. Barrio White Fence is a predominantly Chicano gang that located to the Hollywood section of Los Angeles during the 1970s. The Hollywood Clique is a spinoff of the East Side White Fence gang, which is much older and founded back in the 1920s in the Boyle Heights section on the east side of Los Angeles. Fifth and Hill is a predominantly Mexican immigrant gang located in the downtown area of Los Angeles. At one time, Fifth and Hill also had some Texas syndicate. I will do a video on the Texas syndicate in the near future, as well as other Texas prison gangs. During the 1970s and 80s, they had a strong presence, but as the city continued to develop the downtown section of LA, the gang has declined with urban renewal. In 2007, LAPD arrested 31 alleged members of the Fifth and Hill on various drug offenses. A lot of people have been told that Rockwood Street Loco started in 1979 because the numbers 79 are often associated with their placazo. Actually, the 79 comes from numbers associated with the letters of their gang on old rotary phones, as shown here. The truth is, Rockwood started in 1982 as a neighborhood football team made up of kids who went to Virgil High School and Belmont High School, and they turned into a gang by 1984. Rockwood beefed with the Rascals, who were a spinoff from the Diamonds, the Magicians Club, and Park Villain locals, who were big into motorcycles. Rockwood was known as being very violent and were the subject of a June 2005 gang injunction by the city of Los Angeles. They are not found very often outside of Los Angeles, but you can still find them sometimes banging on the street or net banging against 18th Street. I hope you found this video to be educational. I know it was kind of short. I had to cover a lot of different gangs. Perhaps I'll go more in depth in future episodes on these gangs and other gangs that I've covered so far. That's all for now. This is Gabe Morales on Gangsters, Cops, and Politicians. Thank you for your support and stay safe.